Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode. So this one, normally we try and joke around a little bit, but this one is going to get a little bit more serious. This one's going to be about, I'm sure everybody's heard it, Roe versus Wade. We're going to, there's really, I don't know, we're just going to jump into it. Let's start with Meerkat. What do you think of it?
What do I think of it? I think it's terrible for what the women have lost. And it affects more than just abortion, which
Like what? What else does it affect?
anything like men getting snipped. That's mainly it, really.
Women's getting their tube side contraceptions. So if a woman has an IUD and she gets pregnant and has a miscarriage because of it, they can be charged for it.
Well, there's a big difference between miscarriage and abortion.
Well, not with the
not
laws
in the
now.
law. That's why I'm saying Roe versus Wade is a terrible thing to go away.
It sets the world. It sets the U.S. back 50 years. Their guns have more rights than a woman does.
No, okay. No, they don't. Guns do not have more. I've heard this 100 fucking times, and it's not true. Women do, or guns do not have more rights than women. Tell me, Jess, are you allowed into a bank? Are you allowed into a school? Are you allowed into any federal building? Do you have to be locked away anytime a child is around? No, you don't. You're a human. Guns, you have to have a background check. You have to show your ID. Anytime you buy a gun at a registered gun place, there are background checks. There are investigations. You can shake your head. No, I've already bought quite a few. They are.
The state you're in.
Either at the bare minimum, your ID has to be shown and a background check has to be ran for criminal activity. Bare minimum. I'm not saying you have to register your gun, but it's not just go to anybody and buy a gun. In certain states, yes, you can sell from person to person, which, by the way, now you can't. There was a law passed during this whole Roe versus Wade thing that was distracting you from that as well. So now, legally, you cannot sell from person to person. So no, women don't, or guns don't have more rights than women.
That law, Garrett, that you're talking about, person to person, you just have to add a licensed dealer. So if a person-to-person dealer, you just have to go to someone that has an FDL to purchase a gun. So you still can. So now you're back to the normal
requirements.
Correct.
Of buying a gun from a firearms dealer. So I'm going to stop right there. Women have more rights than guns. This whole thing, sorry to interrupt, I am. Roe versus Wade. Anything about abortion immediately pisses me off.
Why?
Because their only concern is how does it affect the women? Well, how about this? With the current laws in place, how many rights did the father have during the pregnancy? Fucking zero. If the woman decides to get an abortion, the man has no say in it. So no.
It's the woman's body, though. There's so many circumstances.
It doesn't matter. That is his kid. Fine. You know what? Fine. I'll run with that theory. Her body, her choice. Now, what if the dad doesn't want anything to do with the kid? He doesn't want the kid, but the mom does. Can he just, right now, it doesn't matter. He's still responsible for that kid after it's born in 18 years, or if she gets married again. That's whenever he doesn't have to provide for it anymore.
It depends on who the woman is, though.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does, because I'm not that kind of woman.
I'm not saying you are.
That's what I'm saying.
And not every woman wants an abortion. Not every man or not every woman wants an abortion.
So
not every man wants an abortion.
So I agree in your scenario, yes. But that's not what the Roe versus Wade is. If you're with them taking it away, if someone got raped, now and they don't find out for 6 weeks that they're pregnant, in certain states, that is considered murder to them now. And now they will go to jail if they had an abortion. Now you're telling that woman she has to live with something that's going to remind her of her having a rape.
I'm not mad at the federal government for that. I'm mad at the state government level.
But the federal is the one who lifted it and left it up to the states. And so all these people who are running the states who are completely against it, who they're old and they grew up 50 years ago where it wasn't acceptable. They're not saying their own beliefs on women today.
I'm not saying that I'm happy about Roe versus Wade getting overturned. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is the biggest problem I have is the lack of consideration for the man.
For an abortion. In the past, but that's like a completely different topic. Like, well, we're
not
talking.
Really. You want to talk about abortion, then abortion includes the man. Just because it's her body, she spread her legs just as much as he put it in. Unless it's rape. Yeah, that's different. But
with Roe versus Wade,
the baby is not just her.
He could have wore a condom.
And she could have closed her legs.
I don't know.
Any argument you have against a man having any part of that, you can be said against the woman too.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. But at the same time, if the man wants to be a part of it, awesome. That's fantastic.
There's
also the situations where when the woman finds out, she tells the man, and the man wants nothing to do with it. So because she doesn't have that support from the person who got her pregnant, she does have an abortion, and there are circumstances like that.
So here's how I think it should go down, including when it comes to abortion. Because again, I've already said my personal opinion about abortion. Personally, I don't like it unless you've been raped. But
what if
I'm not going to push my beliefs on? I'm not going to push my. I'm not going to force anybody to believe what I believe or have the same opinion as me. But here's a good way to keep everybody happy. It's a two-step thing. One, unless you're raped. Now, there's extenuating circumstances with every law. But in general, first thing that needs to be done is flip the price of adoption and abortion. Make abortion more, almost damn near impossible. Like right now, for adoption, it's $20,000 out of pocket. Very hard to even get a loan for it. Nobody wants to give a loan for a child because what are they going to do? Take it away if you miss a payment? And then you have a year of living with the kid. That's after you already do the entire process of the getting scrutinized over your entire lifestyle. But a year of living with the child that at any given point, either the biological mother can come in and take it back, or the government can just say, no, we don't think you're right, and take it away. It can be 364 days. The very next day, that kid will be yours, and the government can still come in and take it away. So that's my first step, is flip the prices. Second step, make abortions completely legal. Let anybody get it, whatever they want. But give the man the same right that if he doesn't want the kid, he can sign away his rights and not have to pay a fucking dime in child support.
You can already do that.
No, you can't. I've looked it up.
They can.
Just because you sign your rights away does not mean you're not held liable for child payments. Child support.
It's all actually based off of states. Certain states.
Oh, so it's okay for that to be in the state level, but not abortion. This is my point. It's
no. That what I was coming at you is I'm saying it depends on the state on on collection of the thing. I do agree that it should be standardized across the whole freaking country, because why should someone in California get alimony and then someone in New Mexico not, when they have a divorce and they have children, and then they also have to be responsible for, so it depends. It's all different states. It should be standard all the way across. But with the situation with Roe versus Wade,
Roe versus Wade was the standard across all the way.
Exactly.
Right.
It was standard.
For women.
Okay.
This whole thing is has turned into, I don't know. I haven't looked up the history on this case, but I can guarantee right now, the way this has turned into is a gigantic movement for the feminist party.
Well, let me ask you a question. So why aren't you just pro-woman instead? Because it's really no one else's
I'm not
business.
pro-woman. I'm not pro-woman. I'm not pro-man.
But you're pro-life.
No, again, I don't force my beliefs on anybody.
Where do you stand? Pro-life, pro-choice, or pro-woman?
It all depends. It all depends on the circumstance. My baseline is give everybody the exact same options. If she has the option to kill the kid, then I should have the option to just walk away from it. But at the same time, what if the dad does want the kid? Other than, unless the woman was raped or has a serious medical issue that it can kill her.
But see, that's what that takes away. That's what that takes away. That's what.
But what if he does have the kid and then give it to him?
That's exactly what it's taking away, though. You're talking about this 10% of abortions, maybe, I'm not really sure of the number, versus the other 90% of rape, medical conditions, miscarriages. All that is gone. All that will make someone go to jail now. That is what.
Whether you die and give birth to a baby, then save your life.
I get it. It's the whole, what was it? About alcohol prohibition, right?
Yes.
Okay. Prohibition. The exact same result's going to happen. Several people are going to die. The government's going to realize they fucked up. They're going to turn it back on to where it's, okay, well, we need to quit having people do it illegally, so let's make it legal. Same thing with weed. It was legal. What?
That's why it was put into place in the first place, because more people were dying because they were going to, backdoor places.
They're going to the alleys to get an abortion. You can consider 200,000 to 1 million people a year getting an abortion. It's still going to happen today. So all it is now you're just going to cause more issues, because people are still going to get this done no matter what.
Right.
If they want it.
Also, on top of that, you have to think the government that we have currently, these people are 50, 60, 70 years old, still sitting in power, having a say over everyone else's life when they shouldn't be in there.
I have said it before. I will say it again. Everybody in Congress, everybody in the White House needs to be killed. Pulled out on the street, put on their knees, and a bullet in the back of their head.
They don't need to be killed. But
they do.
They need to be removed from office. They don't need to be killed because it's just one person and they're not significant enough.
It's not just one person. Look at
each person. Person.
Look at any video of the Supreme Court. Congress, that's what I meant. In Congress, over half of them are sleeping through the entire thing. During the Pledge of Allegiance, that thing that they've taken an oath to protect and serve, 75% of them at least don't even stand up. Because one, either they're already passed out in their chairs, or two, they don't care.
So now
if I had an office job in the government, and I take an oath for that.
And all I'm saying is, if you're going to get into the government issue here, it's no one's fault but the people's. It's not those
That's
people.
not true.
It is true. We vote those people in.
It has been.
But they can't get taken out either until someone leaves. They don't get voted to stay in. They don't get terms.
Even the voting. Even the voting. Here's what happens.
They get
with
terms.
The
it's 6 years, guys. So yes, they do.
They don't have a term limit where the president can be there for 4 years and 4 years
Correct,
again.
they don't, but we're still voting them in. That's my point. It's the people's fault. If that's the way you're going to look at it, it's the people's fault for voting these certain people in these positions.
But why
what, 70 years ago?
Every 6 years, it's a new election. All I'm saying, yes, it is. If you don't have that knowledge for yourself, look it up before we talk about this.
God damn it.
When it comes to Roe versus Wade, for my standing, I'm not pro-choice, I'm not pro-life, but I'm pro-woman because at the end of the day, it's none of my business what they do with their body. I have kids, but honestly, if I wasn't able to have them, I would get an abortion because it would save my life at the end of the day.
Well, again, that's an extenuating circumstance. That's a health issue.
Even if there's a situation where I couldn't afford to have a kid, I was living on the streets and I was pregnant for whatever reason, however I got pregnant, and it was better for me to have an abortion than let this kid live on the street, that's what I would do.
Well, that's where my first step would come in. If they reduced the price of adoption and increased the price of abortion, then more kids would be put in adoption, sure, but more people would be more able people will be able to go out and adopt a child.
Our system's so broken, though. There's kids in there who've been in there since they were babies, and they don't get adopted. They just bounce from house to house in foster care.
Because hardly anybody can afford it.
But people can be foster parents, and they don't sign up for that.
That's an even harder thing. Imagine living with a child for 5 years. You're fostering that kid for 5 years, and then he gets adopted.
You can adopt him as a foster parent.
So you're against lowering the price of adoption.
That's not what I said, though.
Then you're against raising the price of abortion.
I don't think either one of them should be costing an arm and a leg to do.
Here's another big issue I have with that. It is nothing more than legal human trafficking. Government-sanctioned human trafficking. You can walk in there, and it's a legitimate question to look at the person in charge and say, how much for the kid?
Are you talking about for adoption?
Yes, adoption.
How is it human trafficking if
people are there's certain ways
you're giving. No, that's not adopting. That's giving your kid away. To adopt, there is a price tag on each child. And here's the biggest issue. It's even differed by race and by gender.
And age.
So there is a price tag on every child in there. It's sanctioned human trafficking. It's another way. The government gets more money when there's children in adoption than when they're out. But you lower that price, and good people who can't have kids can then afford to get a child.
So did you know adopting from a foster care is cheaper than it is to adopt from an adopting agency?
Why is there even a price?
I don't understand.
I can guarantee
I can tell you why there's a price.
To go to a hospital and get an abortion than it is to just do the court costs. But somehow adoption can be free while adopting will bankrupt you.
So
that's what I'm saying.
Said your word
this whole
there. You meant abortion is free and adopting cost. You said adopting.
What I said?
You said adopting like 3 times. You never said abortion.
Oh, Sorry. Abortion is free. Adoption will bankrupt you. Said it right
Abortion
that time,
is
didn't
not free. Usually, it still costs some money to have an
There
abortion.
there are a lot of programs to make it free. How many programs are there for someone to go out and adopt a child? A loving couple who can't have children but don't have 20 grand saved up in the bank. What programs are there for them to get a kid?
There's IVF, there's surrogates, and sometimes you can ask a family member.
Surrogates
hold on.
cost
There are people who ask their family members to be a surrogate for them, and a lot of them will for free of cost because they want to provide a child for them.
So we have the option of either getting somebody to agree to it for free or save up $20,000 and pay it outright. And again, for a human.
So my sister asked me one time if she couldn't have kids if I would be a surrogate for her and give her a child. I told her yes. That was before I found out my medical issues, but I would have done it for my sister without cost because everyone deserves to have a kid if they want one.
Yes, you're right. Everybody deserves it.
And
everybody should have that right to have a kid.
Have the choice if they don't want to have a kid, as well as the people who want to have
You're
a
right.
kid.
They should have the choice. But right now, or before this was overturned, only women had that choice.
I mean, in some states, you can't even get your tubes tied because of this change.
Because of this change. I'm talking about before.
But that's preventing women who don't want to have kids ever from having that chance to not have those kids.
I'm saying women are feeling the pain now. Now they're feeling the pain of every man since the beginning.
I disagree.
I disagree with that as well.
If the woman wanted once abortions were legalized, men have been feeling this since then. They have had no shot. If that was their firstborn or first child and the mom didn't want it, it didn't matter.
But that should be a discussion you have with your partner beforehand.
It should be, but it's not. It's not required.
It wasn't bring that required. Subject up. It was a subject that me and him talked about. And granted, like, I didn't want
You're talking about a functioning couple. Would you get in unless other than your medical thing, would you get an abortion? Or would you, if you wanted a
I was content with only having one kid. Granted, now I have two, which I'm totally fine with. And I love both my kids equally. But I was content. And at that time, I didn't want any more kids. And I straight up told him, I don't want more kids. And
not every.
I had another one and I didn't have an abortion. But at the same time, like, women who don't want kids should have the choice to have their tubes tied or whatever circumstance it is to prevent them from having a kid. And
I'm saying I agree to that. I agree they should have that choice. But what I'm also saying is the father should have an equal amount of say.
Then that should be a conversation that couple has before it gets too serious in their relationship.
No. You're wanting to stop at the couple. But when it comes to abortions, suddenly it should be the federal level. Why can't this same exact conversation be forced in the federal level?
You can't force people to talk about anything. We have the
right. But you should be able to give the father the same amount of rights.
He has freedom of speech as well.
He has freedom of speech, but that doesn't pertain to abortion. When you bring up abortion, suddenly freedom of speech doesn't matter.
But that's their own fault for not having that conversation. Like, I don't believe that abortion should be used as a form of birth control. But I do think abortion should be available to women if it's needed. Or
if it's needed.
For whatever circumstances it is. It's not my business. But yes, I believe that it should not be a form of birth control because that is wrong.
See, you keep sidestepping. Should it be on the federal level for the man to have as much right to say, I don't want that kid? Or to say, I want to keep that kid?
Like I said, again, that should be a conversation the couple has. And whether they choose not to, that's their own damn fault.
I'm talking about laws. Should it be a law that the man has just as much say? the father of that child unless it's a medical condition or rape.
Absolutely not, because the law is to pertain to women having a choice over their body.
It's not.
It's their body. It's not a man's body.
And this, it doesn't. It's your body for 9 months. It's his wallet and his firstborn kid. If he doesn't want the kid, it doesn't matter. He's still paying for it 18 years. But if he wants the kid, why put that through his mental anguish? Why break his heart? Why put a man on his knees just because she doesn't want it? That is my problem with feminists, with anything to do with all of this. Once it comes to abortion, suddenly it's all about the women. It's your body for 9 months.
It's our body.
After the 9 months, give it to the man.
But it's our body from the start. Granted, yes, it's 9 months that we have to carry this child, and if a woman doesn't want it, she can absolutely give it up to an adoption agency, to the state.
Or give it to the father.
Give it to the father if they want it. They can do that.
If both parties don't want it, then what's the problem with getting an abortion? Every party is in agreement. But if the father wants his kid, he is excited about that kid, and the mom says, "Nah, I'm good. I'm going to kill it. You're not getting your kid. Sorry for you. Tough shit." Or he doesn't want it. She goes, "No, I'm going to keep it, and you're going to pay." Still, fuck the guy, huh?
I agree.
Women want equal rights, and give the fucking guy equal rights too. You want to be treated like a man, then let him have the same fucking ideas. Give him the same options.
I agree on a federal level that if a man wants to give up his rights to this child, then he should be able to sign them away without being held responsible to child support. I agree with that. But I don't agree with forcing a woman to carry a baby. You are altering a woman's body to carry a child. Granted, I understand where you're coming from. I completely do. But you're asking a woman to go through this massive change in their body, their mental state, and everything like that for 9 months, almost a year. You are asking this woman to just be okay with it. And it's hard. I can tell you this right now. When I wasn't sure that I could keep this one, keep Eli.
You think it's hard for 9 months?
You can ask Marcus. For me, I had the hardest. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror.
That guy will be grieving for the rest of his life because the mother didn't want his firstborn kid. He will be grieving for a loss. Oh, okay. So then it doesn't matter, right? That kid doesn't fucking matter. Right? Because who cares? How many ultrasound pictures do people put up on their fridge? You haven't seen it? You haven't. Well, you've heard the heartbeat through a speaker, but who cares, right? It's not your kid. Why care about it yet?
I mean, most women get a abortion before even 12 weeks. Most women. By 12 weeks, they're having the abortion. By 12 weeks, they don't even do an ultrasound usually. Sometimes they do, but most times they don't. So the woman doesn't even have to tell the man that she's pregnant. And I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. Like, the man should have
you don't care.
That's not what I said.
He can have a say if he doesn't want to pay, but if he wants it, fuck it.
So you're saying it's okay for a man to want this kid, so we're going to force this woman to carry this child so this man can have it and completely alter her body for the rest of her life.
So we have two options here. Alter a woman's body. She can still have kids. She can still live a full life. Or we can put a man in the grieving status for the rest of his life. We can depress a guy. Who the fuck cares? They need to man up anyway, right?
That's not what I said.
But God forbid some woman gets stretch marks.
It's not just stretch marks.
Yeah, I really don't think you see it on both sides here, and that's
I
me.
see it. I
no,
do.
You don't. You're arguing.
I really do.
I'm a man too, and I'm saying you're way off.
You're saying
dealing with someone that's been pregnant for the last 9 months, I can tell you are way off right now.
Okay. Now the 9 months is over.
It's still dealing with it. It's called postpartum. You have no idea.
Postpartum depression. That does not happen every time.
Postpartum is after having a child, whether it be depression or not. Postpartum is after giving birth, and it's not easy. Postpartum is rough, and if you get postpartum depression, that's even rougher. There's baby blues, which is a form of depression after giving birth. Like, there's a lot of circumstances that come into after having a child for a woman that most men don't understand.
Tell me, which one would you prefer? The aftermath of having that child, or not having your firstborn? I'm talking about the one you have had. Which one would you prefer? Because the reason I'm asking this is because that is the guy's firstborn child. That is that guy's child. Most people say, I can't imagine the pain. But that is what happens anytime a man doesn't have a chance to save his firstborn or any child if he wants it.
Let me put it in perspective for you. This was a conversation I did have with my firstborn's father, and I also gave him the option to walk away with no obligations.
Yes, you gave him the option. Yes, you did, but a lot of women don't.
But those women are...
But this law affects those women. You can't start outlining certain things to prove a point. If everybody would just talk to each other, get on the same page, then we wouldn't even have a reason for these laws. But that's not the case. The point of the law is to cover everybody.
I don't. Yeah, to cover everybody in the wrong direction. Absolutely. You're forcing. So right now, with the laws in all states, but 13. No, listen.
I don't agree.
Listen. You're not. You're saying you agree with it. This entire argument you have agreed with it.
I do not agree with the government having any say in this.
But so you agree with the states having say in it?
I don't agree with any level of government having any say in it.
So do you agree that each person should have a say over their body then?
When it comes to aborting, that is what I'm saying.
But
it does not just affect the woman. It affects the man equally. But again, that is my biggest issue.
And
abortion.
Again,
as soon as someone hears abortion,
I don't see
it's only
it affecting
about
the man equally.
What?
I don't see it affecting the man equally. I still think it weighs heavier on the woman than it does on the man.
But why?
Why do I see it that way? Because
here's an idea. Go ahead.
Let me just say, what if there's complications in the pregnancy when she's giving birth and she dies giving birth to that kid that she didn't want to have? And then that man now has to live with that scenario.
And forever live with that because he wanted to keep this child and this woman agreed to it now that she's dead. There's so many circumstances that can come into play. Like with Eli, I had a lot of issues. Like I had neurology, fetal medicine, plus my OB. I had to get an 8-inch needle stuck in my belly. It was not easy.
Some circumstances, yes, pregnancies can go wrong. Tragic, but it is. So, fine. Let's make laws only on the most extreme circumstances.
But there shouldn't be laws that pertain to anyone's body in any form.
I'm not talking about abortion anymore. I'm talking about all laws. Let's talk about only extreme abortions. Someone terrorizes somebody else by calling constantly. Okay. No more phone calls.
That's called harassment.
For anybody.
And restraining.
For anybody. That's what I'm saying. It's an extreme circumstance.
But that's to protect people. Those laws are to protect people, right?
And, yeah.
They're to protect you. Yes.
And that's what I was saying. The government shouldn't have any say in this.
But neither should anyone else.
Other than the two partners, the mother and the father.
That should be equally. That should be a discussion they have before that point. Before she's pregnant. Oh. That should be a discussion that they have before she's pregnant.
They should. You're right. Most people before an abortion will talk to their partner about it and get on the same page. But it's not required. If the mother goes in and decides, I don't want this kid, fuck the guy. Fuck the father. That's what I have a problem with. This whole anything regarding abortion, that's what immediately pisses me off. It's all about the woman.
Usually, though, when women go get abortion, it's not about saying fuck the father.
To hell with the guy, to hell with any.
It's usually not the case, though.
Usually not. Usually not. So usually if somebody wants an abortion. What?
So if you're saying that they're saying fuck the father's opinion doesn't matter, why are you using that as an argument if that's usually not the case?
I use that argument when someone says it's my body, my choice.
So then I can tell you that you're never allowed to get a vasectomy?
What?
So a woman can say that you're not allowed to get a vasectomy if you don't want to have kids?
Yeah.
That's unfair.
If me and my partner, if it's the same thing, well, to somewhat of a lesser extent.
It's the exact same thing. If you want to say that the man has the right to say if he wants this kid and the woman has to keep it.
When a man gets snipped, there has been no contraception yet. The woman's not pregnant. Nothing. Nobody has any attachment to anything yet.
But have an attachment to each other.
To each other, who cares?
So that's the thing. So you're saying
hold on. There's one major difference. That man, the moment he hears that that woman is pregnant, one of two things is going to happen. Either one, he's going to be in complete agreement with getting an abortion, in which case everybody should be happy. Or two, he wants the kid. He's excited. He can't wait to be a father. But that's where all these laws have stopped. I don't care what the father thinks. If I don't want the kid, I can kill it. If I do want the kid and he doesn't want it, he's still going to pay for it. Either way, that choice of the abortion has not just affected the woman. I'm not even considering that child. Because you're right. That child has not taken its first breath yet. He doesn't know shit. But that man does. He has his own opinion on things. He has his own attachment or detachment of that child. But nobody cares. Because why? Their only argument is my body, my choice. Which directly translates to I don't give a fuck about you. Okay, this is my body. This is growing inside me. You have nothing to do with it. Okay, fine. If that is your case, when the woman is pregnant, even if they do decide to keep it, both parties are on board. Guess what? The man doesn't have to care about the woman at all during the entire pregnancy. But we do. We wait on you hand in hand. We deal with your mood swings. We deal with your weird ass cravings at 3 a.m. But that doesn't matter, right? During the 9 months, it's all about the woman. This is what I'm saying. Consider the man.
I can tell you I did.
You're right. You did.
But it was a long conversation that me and Marcus had saying.
And again, that is the common. I'm talking about the extreme, whatever circumstances.
But what's considered extreme then?
Then mean extreme. I mean extenuating. That's a very hard word for me to say. Apparently, I stopped midway through.
But okay, so like when I found out I was pregnant, me and Marcus had this discussion, and you know what he said? I support whatever your choice is. He didn't give me his opinion for a
And
long
that
time.
was
For a long time, he didn't give me an opinion.
and that was giving you free reign to make the decision. He's in agreement. He has made his choice on it. That if you want to, go for it. If you don't, I'm here for you.
He made the choice to support me, just like
Right.
most men will
So
do.
what? So the problem that we keep running into is you keep thinking, or you keep saying, well, it should be a conversation between the man and the woman. But when it comes to actually abortion, then it should be on the federal level.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So what if it's a one-night stand and you never see that man again? Should she still have to have that kid?
If she can't
Because that's what the laws
find
are
the
stating.
partner, I get it. You keep thinking I'm in agreement with the government making it illegal. I'm not. I'm saying the government shouldn't have a fucking say in any of it. Or if they do, if everybody says that the federal government should have a say in if the abortion is legal or illegal, then fine. I say it should be legal, but with one circumstance attached to it, other than the extenuating instances such as rape, medical issues, or you can't find the fucking father. Then you should have the man, either the man's consent too, because I'm going to fucking say it. He has a say in it. It's not just your kid.
So women can have a say in what you do with your body too, then?
Yes. If it can be reversed.
Only 50%
Well, first of all,
of the time is it successful, though.
Okay, fine. Then they should have a say in it too. Your current partner. That has been one instance where they keep saying, well, what if your future husband wants kids? Who the fuck cares if there's a future partner? Your current partner. If you're in a relationship, he has a say.
Right. Okay, but as of right now, with that being said, if you're not even in a relationship, if I wanted to go get snipped, I can't.
And again, you keep thinking that I agree with the current laws. I don't.
But that's the way you're arguing it, Garrett. That's why I'm trying to put different perspectives.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying anything should. Assume for a moment, for this argument's sake, Roe versus Wade was never overturned, right? Okay? We're on the same page. It's still fucked! Because the man doesn't have a say in his unborn child. In extenuating circumstances, you're not in a relationship.
Correct.
You could get an abortion.
I understand where you're coming from, but what I'm saying is what the topic is on hand. We are for it,
fine.
correct?
Roe versus Wade getting overturned, I disagree with.
So you're for Roe versus Wade, then? The actual law that was overturned.
I'm saying
no, he doesn't.
We were in a better circumstance before it was overturned. Agreed. I'm not saying it was perfect.
Yeah, but see, now with that law being out, what you want is even harder to come.
And if a woman has a miscarriage, they can be charged with murder now.
You're right. I understand that. I understand it's going to be even harder for me to get to the point that I want. That's why I do, again, saying it plain and clear, I do not agree with it getting overturned. I did say do not agree. We are in a better circumstance with it in place. But it was still fucked.
Okay.
Here's another issue with this.
No. We're done. We're done. Say your last topic, but we gotta end this.
The main argument with abortion has been, oh, well, God doesn't like it. It's against Christian beliefs. Here's another idea. Get the fucking church out of the fucking government! It hadn't worked in the past. It won't work in the future. It sure shit wouldn't work now. We're done, guys. Fucking end it.
Thanks for watching and listening. Talk to you later.